Shalom, like give all honor, glory, and praises to Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahushua, Ba'ashem, Rakakwadash, like give double honors to our apostles and elders, a great millstone. Salutations to all you sincere brothers pushing this rod across the four corners of the earth. This is an article from theadvocate.com, and the title says, Hate-related throws could be banned in Mardi Gras parades under proposed bill. This was published on February the 27th, 2020. State Senator Troy Carter, Democrat, New Orleans, filed a bill that, if passed, would ban throwing hate-related objects during Mardi Gras parades. The bill would ban the throwing of any objects that suggest the supremacy of one ethnic, religious, or racial group over any other, or gives honor or praise to any violent actions, according to the bill. This proposed bill comes less than 2 weeks after a father was shocked when his son caught a caricature of a black man holding a watermelon, a racist trope, at the Mystic Knights of Adonis parade in Gretna on February the 15th. The bill proposes a fine between $300 and $1,000 and imprisonment for 10 to 90 days. If the parade or person who violated the proposed law cannot be identified, then the organization will be fined $1,000 for the first offense and up to $5,000 for the third offense. A hate crime investigation is underway in Mississippi after a 12-year-old girl received a black doll with beads forming a noose around his neck at the Mississippi Gulf Coast Mardi Gras parade. The 2020 regular legislative session opens March 9th. This bill is in the pre-filing stage and will have to be passed through both the House and Senate with a majority vote to become law. So a caricature is a grotesque imitation or representation of someone for humorous purposes. So just pretty much like mockery. And they make mockery of the so-called Negroes mainly because they know who we are, which are Israelites. And that's part of our punishment for breaking the laws, statutes, and commandments of our power, Yahweh. And this is the book of Deuteronomy, the 28th chapter and the 15th verse. But it should come to pass, if thou wilt not hearken unto the voice of the Lord thy power, to observe to do all his commandments and his statutes, which I command thee this day, that all these curses shall come upon thee and overtake thee. So we broke the Most High's laws, statutes, commandments as a people. Therefore, we are suffering punishment for that. And one of those curses, as we just read in that article, for breaking his laws, this is Deuteronomy, the 28th chapter and the 37th verse. And thou shalt become an astonishment, a proverb, and a byword among all nations, whither the Lord shall lead thee. So that caricature is a misrepresentation of someone for laughing purposes. So that's how they look at us in this world. We're made as a laughing stock to these other nations. So it says, among all nations, whither the Lord shall lead thee, because the nation of Israel, pursuant to the book of Deuteronomy, the 28th chapter and the 64th verse, we're going to be scattered across the four corners of the earth. That's another part of our punishment. We're going to be scattered everywhere. So we're going to start looking like those other nations to some of those places that we got scattered to. So no matter how our people look, we probably look like those other nations, but if they are Israelites, they are still under those curses till this day. It's like that spiritual cloud pursuant to the book of Lamentations that's hovering over us. And we cannot escape that only until Yahushua redeems his elect out of the nation of Israel. And this is Isaiah 43, verse 28. Therefore I have profaned the princes of the sanctuary and have given Jacob to the curse. And another name for Jacob is Israel. And that's referring to the children of Israel, you so-called Negroes, Latinos, Hispanics, and Native Americans today. And Israel to reproaches. And part of those reproaches is those caricatures they love to make mockery of us about. Us being called these bywords, niggas, spits, wetbacks, Indians, African Americans, Latinos, Hispanics, Native Americans. You know, they love to call us anything except for the true name that we are, which are Israelites, Yahshua Allah. This is Jeremiah 23 and the 48th verse. And I will bring an everlasting reproach upon you and a perpetual shame. So it's like an ongoing shame. Every reincarnation that we come back to on this earth, we're still suffering those curses. It's not going to be taken off of us until Yahushua comes back, which should not be forgotten. We'll never forget how we was treated here. And we're going to use that force and energy, how they did us, we're going to do that to them in the next kingdom to come, which is the kingdom of heaven. In this punishment or captivity, we have to learn wickedness in order to appreciate righteousness, which is the kingdom of heaven. That's how much more we're going to appreciate the kingdom of heaven. because look at all the hell that we caught here on this side. And this is Lamentations, the 2nd chapter and the 15th verse. All that passed by clap their hands at thee, they hiss and wag their head at the daughter of Jerusalem. This is referring to these other nations. All these other nations that we see daily, those are our enemies, according to the book of Psalm, the 83rd chapter. It lists all our enemies that are making plots that keep us at the bottom. Let's continue to put drugs in the community. Let's continue to have the woman over the man and the children over the parents. Let's make the Israelite man more effeminate, and let's make the Israelite woman more masculine. Let's set up false leaders in churches in their neighborhoods to continue to keep them misled. Let's set up idols of their own people and make them celebrities to continue to keep them astray. Let's make pork more affordable in their grocery stores. And let's make abominable foods such as shrimp, lobsters, crabs as a so-called delicacy to them. And these are actual schemes and plots that they are having at their tables when they all come together to continue to keep us down. So all that passed by clap their hands at thee, they hiss and wag their head at the daughter of Jerusalem, saying, is this the city that men call the perfection of beauty? Because once upon a time, we was looked as the perfection of beauty because we kept those laws, statutes, and commandments of the Most High Yahweh. And therefore, we represented it very well. The joy of the whole earth. Now, fast forward that to nowadays, we are not looked at as the joy of the whole earth right now. A lot of our people into homosexuality, witchcraft, out there on the streets begging, being homeless. So we are not looked at as the joy of the whole earth. All thy enemies have opened their mouth against thee. They hiss and gnash the teeth. They say, we'll swallow her up. Certainly, this is the day that we look for. So these other nations are pretty much like the rapper, the Birdman. How you do that hand rub? That's exactly how they looking at us. They glorifying the downfall of the children of Israel. We have found, we have seen it. And this is the book of Jeremiah, the 30th chapter, and 16th verse. Therefore, all they that devour thee should be devoured, and all thy adversaries, every one of them, should go into captivity. So all these nations, you read the book of Psalm, the 83rd chapter, it lists you all the nations that are our enemies, according to the scriptures. So all of them are going to go into captivity. Just like how we had to serve slavery, we underwent these curses, all these reproaches. These other nations are going to face the same thing. Mainly the Edomites, which are the so-called Caucasian race today. Every one of them should go into captivity, and they that spoil thee should be a spoil, and all that prey upon thee will I give for a prey. So it's going to be trading places. The curses that apply to us is going to be transferred off of us and applied to these other nations very soon. As the hopeful elect, that's why we hoping and praying to Yahweh Bashan Shai that Yahweh sends back Yahweh Shai to go ahead and just restore things back on this earth. Once he restore things back on this earth, we're going to be set back on top again, and these other nations are going to be underneath us. So that's the point of this lesson. Hate-related throws could be banned in Mardi Gras parades under proposed bills. And this is going into those caricatures that these other nations love to make mockery of us about, which are gross tech, imitation, or representation of someone, and mainly the Israelites, because they know who we are, and just majority of our people that don't know who they are. And they don't know why that we are still suffering these conditions until this day, which are those curses that's mentioned in Deuteronomy, the 28th chapter, 15 verse on down. So these other nations, they can get their laugh right now. We can be the laughing stock at the moment. But just remember, according to biblical prophecy, those curses that was on us is going to be on you all very soon. And that's pursuant to the book of Deuteronomy, the 30th chapter, and the 7th verse. So they can laugh now. That's cool. We'll take that ill. Because as the scripture says in 2 Corinthians, the 4th chapter, that our light affliction is but for a moment. So it's just only for a small moment that we're going to be suffering these conditions right now. And these other nations are going to be over us. Yahweh Bashan Shai, he's making moves right now. You see, these other nations are catching hell. These Hamites are catching a whole swarm of locusts in their land. And these Moabites are catching this pestilence, which is known as the coronavirus. So they can continue to laugh, but they have to remember that those curses are going to happen to you all. So it's going to be double on these other nations, especially the Edomites. And as a saying that I love to quote, he that laughs last, laughs best. And definitely the children of Israel, beginning with the elect, are going to get the last laugh. The Lord willing, we're part of that great number. And with that, I hope you all are edified. Like, give all honor glory again to Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahushua, Ba'ashem, Rakakadash. A double honors again to our apostles and elders of Great Millstone. Salutations again to you, sincere brothers. Shalom.